What if I told you that some of the most emotional conversations you'll ever have never actually happen? You're lying in bed, taking a shower, or walking alone, and suddenly your mind creates an entire scene. You're explaining yourself to someone, replaying an old argument, or imagining a future where everything finally works out. None of it is real, yet the emotions feel completely real. Maybe you feel angry, excited, anxious, or relieved over a conversation that only exists inside your head. And if you do this often, you've probably wondered why. Psychology says this is far more common than most people realize. And it's not just random daydreaming. Your brain is often trying to process something deeper. Many people imagine scenarios without even noticing. One moment, you're doing something ordinary, and the next, you're mentally explaining yourself, replaying something that happened earlier, or creating the perfect response you wish you had said. Sometimes the mind imagines success, recognition, or future achievements. Other times, it creates worst-case situations that haven't even happened. You imagine people misunderstanding you, arguments that may never occur, or everything going wrong. What's interesting is that your brain reacts to these scenes almost like they're real. Your emotions change, your heart responds, and your body follows along. Psychologists call this mental simulation. Your brain naturally runs different possibilities before real events happen. It's one of the reasons humans are good at planning and preparing. Athletes visualize winning before competitions. Speakers imagine giving successful presentations. In many ways, imagination acts like a rehearsal room. But for some people, this system keeps running even when there's nothing to prepare for. That's why imaginary conversations can appear throughout the day. And usually, there's something emotional underneath. Sometimes it's an unfinished conversation. Sometimes it's anxiety about the future. Sometimes it's the desire to feel more in control. Psychologists often notice three common patterns. The first is argument scenarios. People imagine defending themselves, explaining their feelings, or finally saying the perfect comeback they couldn't think of at the time. The second is success scenarios. They imagine achieving something important, receiving recognition, or proving themselves to others. The third is worst-case scenarios. The mind starts preparing for failure, rejection, or misunderstandings before they even happen. But beneath all these patterns, one thing often remains the same. People who imagine scenarios frequently tend to spend a lot of time analyzing situations and thinking about how others see them. Their minds are constantly processing interactions, so imaginary conversations become a way of making sense of everything. It's almost like the brain is practicing social situations in advance. The problem is that imagination can slowly become a loop. Inside your mind, everything is predictable. You say the perfect words. People respond exactly how you hope. The outcome makes sense. Real life doesn't work that way. And that's why some people find themselves spending more time in imagined conversations than real ones. Not because they're avoiding life, but because imagination offers something reality doesn't always provide certainty. But imagination itself isn't bad. In fact, it's one of the brain's greatest strengths. It helps people create, solve problems, and prepare for challenges. The issue begins when imagination replaces action. Because no matter how perfect the conversation sounds inside your head, real growth happens outside of it. So if you constantly imagine scenarios that never happen, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It often means your mind is active, thoughtful, and constantly exploring possibilities. The important thing is knowing the difference between using imagination as a tool and using it as a hiding place, because your mind can create endless stories. But the moments that truly change your life will never happen inside your imagination. They happen in real conversations, real experiences, and real moments that no scenario in your head can ever fully predict.